it just like, it feels like a part of me is missing, like a psychic energy almost.
I came up with the title Homework for this series because that's what I thought it would be about. Working from home. I expected to hear from teachers about the difficulties of adapting curriculum for a digital classroom, of balancing childcare and instruction. Those stories were there, but overwhelmingly what I heard were stories of love and loss. This semester has dissolved the boundaries of when, where, and how school happens. And it's reminded me that so much of the work that teachers do is homework. It's about the homes and lives of their students and themselves, about what we all carry when we arrive to the classroom and what we take when we leave. I'm Ashraya Gupta, and this is Homework.
Right before everything closed down, like a number of Chinatown restaurants and markets had already closed because they weren't getting enough business.
Annie grew up in Chinatown. If you listened to our first episode, you've heard from her before about trying to support students and families through the pandemic.
And a lot of students' parents have lost their jobs or trying to figure out how to take care of kids when they don't know English and their kids are the only ones who know English in the house. And I'm finding that I'm having to be the support for them right now, and that's really hard.
The New York State Labor Department recently released figures showing that from March to May, New York City lost 20% of its jobs. People of color have been hit hardest. According to a report from the NYC Comptroller, unemployment rates for the city-defined categories of Asians, Hispanics, and African Americans all surpassed 20%, while the white unemployment rate has only reached about 10%.
I saw on Twitter today someone was talking about the words vicarious trauma, and it felt like that is exactly what I'm experiencing right now, and that I am living my students' trauma vicariously through them.
Vicarious trauma is related to the term compassion fatigue. The idea that people caring for victims or survivors of trauma not only find it increasingly difficult to continue the work, but can experience symptoms of trauma themselves.
We've suffered 14 deaths, I think, in a classroom of 12 students and 3 paraprofessionals and me. My paraprofessional lost her father. One of my students had their cousin die in their house. So, all of this is a lot.
Annie sent me this recording in early May. So much more has happened since then. The searing violence captured on film of Black people being killed, the slower violence of the pandemic and its economic fallout, and the signs of hope, worldwide protests that have secured historic wins. It's strange to step back to a moment before this, before multiple school districts across the U.S. suspended contracts with police departments, before the toppling across the globe of monuments and statues of those who profited from slavery and colonization. Before any of this, back in May, Annie was just grateful to have some support systems to see her through the work of caring for her students.
I am so happy to have a Chinese American therapist who understands what it's like to go through a life of feeling like I cannot be a burden, especially as a kid of immigrants. So she knew really well how to work with me and wanted me to take control of my emotions and not work so damn hard for other people and find where I might have control over situations and where my footing is. And that's where I'm trying to be right now, instead of letting the fact that I am a Chinese American teacher living in Chinatown and in New York City, which is the epicenter of this coronavirus crisis, to consume me.
Listening to Annie again now, I think of all the experiences, time, and resources that make it possible for her to both seek out this kind of care and receive it. Given cuts to counseling services at many schools, I worry that Annie's students, my students, might not have access to the same. Knowing Annie, she's fighting for exactly this, securing for her students the care she knows they deserve. Thank you to the teachers who have shared their stories. You can hear more from Annie in a previous episode, There Was a Time When, and you can find her at her website, annietan.com. She tweets as Annie Tangent. Homework is presented in collaboration with the Academy for Teachers. If you have a story to share about schools or teaching, you can reach us at thisishomeworkpod@gmail.com.
And have a wonderful night or day wherever you are.